Welcome to Submodule 4.1 of the Forensic Acquisition and Collections course, Weebie-Tech's Ditto Forensic Field Station. The next write blocker that we will preview is the Ditto. This cutting-edge technology from Weebie-Tech is a tool that takes a lot of guesswork out of acquiring drive data remotely. The Ditto Forensics Field Station is the first digital imaging device to be configured, administered, and operated over a network via computer, tablet, or a smartphone. In addition, networked preview simplifies forensic acquisition to provide sophisticated remote examination of data sources so only pertinent data is acquired. The Ditto can be deployed by non-forensic experts and administered and operated remotely by forensic specialists. This saves time and money in data acquisition and transport. The Ditto has standalone drive imaging features that require no host computer to acquire any data from many types of sources and file systems residing on hard drives, hard disk drives, network file shares, and media cards. Data sources can be cloned or imaged to a variety of destinations as well as to multiple target drives or network locations simultaneously. On the right of the screen is what the Ditto comes packaged with. It includes everything that you will need for administration of the device and working with target hard drives. This is the input side of the Ditto. The device is set up to receive input drives with common connections such as SATA, eSATA, PATA, USB 2, and network connections. You will notice there is no built-in USB 3 interface. The Ditto comes with an expansion module which will serve to support USB 3.0 as well as any other interface that is developed for common use. This is what the additional expansion modules for the Ditto will look like. You simply connect the expansion port to the Ditto and you will have that interface available. Shown here is the USB 3 expansion module connected to the Ditto field station. This is the output or destination drive side. It is on these drives where your forensic images will be stored. The output side is set up with two eSATA ports and two DC power outputs that allow for the creation of both an image and a copy of that image at the same time without impacting the performance of either operation. The output side also has an Ethernet port. This port is for connecting directly to network drives. This allows the users to create and save images directly onto any network resource from the Ditto. The Ethernet port also allows the acquisition specialist to connect to the Ditto via the Internet to manage functions of the device such as creating forensic images and storing them either on a hard drive or on a network resource. In this scenario, you can simply send the device to a client that wants you to do a collection. On their end, they just plug it into their network. At that point, you can manage the device and perform collections remotely. The rear of the Ditto has an SD card slot. The SD card is used for storing data log captures, which are a complete history of the data acquisitions and can be managed and printed from a web browser or extracted as a user-specific document. There are two options for powering the Ditto: a 12-volt input for the power supply and a SATA power connection. There is also a hook for hanging the unit inside of a computer case or workstation, and this is also where the device power switch is located. The SATA power connection is useful if you are hanging the Ditto inside of a computer or server, as power is as close as the connection on the motherboard. The Ditto system configuration can be accessed directly from the front panel LCD, or it can be accessed from a computer through a web browser interface when linked directly to the Ditto. If you are connecting the Ditto directly to a computer, the Ditto is pre-programmed with a static IP address on the destination side. The destination IP address can also be seen in the LCD setting menu. Type this IP address into your web browser to access the Ditto's web browser interface. If you are connecting to the Ditto through the web, it will connect via a VPN for secure administration of the device. The Ditto is configured to use DHCP for IP address assignment. If you are connecting the Ditto to a network that is also using DHCP, there will be conflicts. You can configure the Ditto to use a static IP address in these situations. Once connected, web browser access allows file system exploration, file preview, and file download of attached drives. User profiles on the Ditto can be password protected and assign specific user permission levels. Here is a closer look at the home screen of the Ditto via the web browser. In this area, we see the action to perform for the Ditto. Here is where we can choose the function that we want to perform. Your options are: first, clone the source disk. This will make an exact duplicate of your source drive as well as hash the clone of the source disk. Because the Ditto has the 2 destination ports, 2 clones can be created at the same time. Next, you can choose to image the source disk. This will create a forensic copy of the source disk in your preferred format. Because we have the 2 destination ports, in addition to creating 2 clones or 2 images at the same time, the Ditto allows for you to create an image and a clone of the source disk. Cloning disks is something that can be time-consuming in many cases, as the process usually entails taking a forensic image and restoring the image to a second drive. With Ditto, the user can image and clone a disk in a single step. This feature will come in handy as you may need the clone, which is a forensic logical copy of the disk and not an image file, to restore or preview shadow copies and at the same time have the image file of the source disk processed into FTK for analysis. Other options from the actions to perform include erasing destination drives and hashing existing image files for comparison to the original hashes. In the settings area, we can see how the Ditto is currently configured. In the current status area is where we see what the Ditto is doing. It will either be idle or it will display its currently performed actions. In the disk area, we can see information about the drives that are connected to the Ditto. To view information about the hard drive, click on the drive name under Port and then select Hex View. We can also preview the source drive's data by clicking on the partition named under Partition and then select Preview or Hex View. Next, we will walk through the LCD screens on the Ditto when performing actions on an attached drive. Before connecting the drive for an image acquisition, verify that the Ditto is powered off. Ensure that the size of the destination drive is larger than the original evidence drive. If not, the acquisition process will fail. We will use the LCD and the 4-button navigation interface to clone, image, erase, or hash a disk. You can also adjust settings, view information about the drives and dock, or check on operational status. Which actions and settings can be accessed from the LCD are determined by the permission set. These are assigned by the system administrator in the web browser interface for the user's front panel. On the 4-button navigation interface, up and down allow scrolling through the options, while Enter selects and Back goes back to the previous screen. The Ditto menu consists of several screens. Starting with the status screens. The status screen is the default screen. It shows the progress of any current process or reports the status as idle. The idle status screen also lists the current firmware on the Ditto. Next is the settings screen. From the settings screen, you can view or edit the current Ditto settings. The settings that can be altered include the image type, erase mode, default format, verification, stealth mode, log settings, and the various network settings. Next are the disk information screens. The disk information screen shows all available drives attached to either the source or destination ports. Each port is shown only if a drive is connected to that interface. Press Enter to view and then up or down to view information about each connected drive, such as the model number, drive size, and the file system. Once you have adjusted your settings and have viewed the source disk information, you can now choose the action you wish to perform in the Perform Action screen. From the Perform Action screen, you can start or abort any of the Ditto's functions using the current settings. With a few punches of the 4-button navigation interface, you can clone and image, erase, or hash a disk. As Ditto performs the task, the status and time left will display along with the option to cancel the action. In this instance, we are hashing an image, and we see information such as the % of completion and the time left to complete the action. Next, we will watch a short demonstration of the Ditto Forensic Field Station by WeebyTech founder James Wiebe.
Hi, I'm James Wiebe with CRU WeebyTech, and today we're going to talk about Ditto. Ditto is a product that is used to create clones and images of hard drives and network resources. It also does a lot of other stuff. But before I tell you about it, I want to talk a little bit about the history of the product. We knew a couple of years ago that we wanted to have a competitive offering within the world of drive imaging equipment, and we came up with this idea, and we went through the process of naming it Ditto. We started talking to customers about it, and as we described the product to them, they gave us feedback as to what the product should really be. So what we ended up with is not really our vision but we ended up with a vision of what the customers thought the best duplicating product on the planet would be. As an example, we set it up so that you can talk to any kind of input hard drive, all the obvious stuff, parallel, SATA. We set it up with an expansion module so that we could future-proof it, make it able to attach to hard drives that don't yet exist, certainly cover the bases like SAS, FireWire. We set it up with an Ethernet port on the inside, on the input. That allows us to attach to network drives and iSCSI resources. Very, very cool. And on the output side, we set it up with a couple of SATA ports. We talked to our customers and they described to us their process flow, and a lot of people, it was very important to make 2 copies of a hard drive at once. So we made sure in the hardware here that doing that would not impact the performance of the operation. In fact, some of our customers wanted to do a clone and an image. We set up the product so that it could do a clone and an image at the same time. We also put an Ethernet port here for several reasons. It was clearly important to be able to write to network volumes so that you could create an image directly onto a network resource. And it was also important to us to be able to operate the unit through the Ethernet port onto a computer system. So you can run it from the front panel, or alternatively, you can run it directly from a computer that you have attached to the product. And we'll show you that here in a little bit. Some other basic things that we felt were very important was to provide support for EO1 and DD imaging and cloning. The output types for imaging clearly are industry standards. We wanted to have hardware hashing so it would be very fast when it calculated the values for both the source and the destination drives. In our tradition, we kept with the idea of using a metal case. A metal case provides ruggedness. It also provides the ability to heat sink whatever heat is being produced inside. And it allowed us to design this unit without a fan. We don't like fans. Fans cause problems. Fans create noise. Fans ingest dirt into the inside of units that they're used on. So we ended up with a design that's thermally efficient, very quiet, doesn't need a fan. And as another result of that, it allowed us to create a unit that could be battery powered for many hours at a time. This would allow the unit to go into the field and be used in places it hadn't been before. On the back of the unit, you can see that we put an SD card into it. This allowed us to have a removable log file, so we could always leave the logs behind if we needed to, or we could take them with us and transfer it directly into the computer. All built directly into the unit. The unit itself is small, not very large. You can see that it's got a thin profile, and it's even got a place that you can hang it up so that you can use it in mobile settings or inside of a computer system. Power options, we designed it so it could run off of a brick or off of SATA power, whatever you wanted to do. If you're using a battery, the battery connects in right there. Due to the fact that you can connect to Ditto through a Ethernet cable, it really means that you can connect to Ditto through a virtual private network, or VPN. That means that although we have a Ditto in our hands right now, it just as easily could be anywhere else on the planet. So instead of operating it from the front panel, we can operate it from a computer system, a laptop. Now I know this is a desktop, let's pretend it's a laptop. I've got a Ditto hooked up to this particular computer, and once I pop up the browser window, there is a complete interface into Ditto. Now that unit's right there, but it could just as easily be in Africa. It doesn't make any difference. We've got the ability over here to take a look at what's on the hard drives on both sides. Let's just take a quick look at the screens. Up at the top we've got some tabs, but let's focus on the main screen. We've got an action window, a settings window, a status window, and a disk window. These are pretty interesting. On this action window, we've got a drop-down menu that lets us pick all the basics: cloning, imaging, both at the same time, erasing. A full-featured erase engine is built into this product, as well as hashing. We've got drop-down menus for our source and our destination choices, and we also get to see, from a logical point of view and a physical point of view, everything that's happening on our sources and destinations. So we don't have to just mount a drive and then blindly make a decision to to make a clone or an image of it, we can mount a drive and we can go directly into a partition and then open up a logical browsing window and see what's within that partition on the drive. Doesn't matter where the Ditto is. Remember, that Ditto could be sitting anywhere on the planet, and we did that. So we were able to do that. We can make a decision then to, let's say we wanted to clone. All we have to do is hit the start button, and the unit's off and running, and we'll be able to create a clone or an image or inspect the drive or do whatever we want from anywhere. Very, very amazing power in the product, the ability to remotely, to virtualize, to examine, to logically inspect, to make decisions associated with your data capture process, all of it built into Ditto, and all of it at a competitive price.
This brings us to the review for Submodule 4.1. In this module, we introduced you to the Ditto by WeebyTech, and we did a walkthrough of its functions and features. This brings us to the end of today's presentation. Please review the following lab.